I'm going to hit you with a crazy stat right from the get-go, and that is that 43% of people with ADHD will develop alcohol use disorder. That's from charliehealth.com. And so almost half of people who have ADHD will struggle with alcohol. Another one, binge drinking is defined as having 5 or more drinks within 2 hours for men and 4 drinks within 2 hours for women. And 42% of people with ADHD reported binge drinking every time they drank alcohol. So that number is very similar to the last one. Nearly half of people with ADHD are binge drinkers when they drink. And I have so many thoughts on this. And I'm really glad we're talking about this because a big reason that I quit drinking alcohol was because I started discovering ADHD in adult women, and I started consuming content surrounded around ADHD in women on TikTok and YouTube and in audiobooks. And learning about that was like a light bulb going off in my head. Everything started to make sense. Like I said, when people get a diagnosis from a doctor, a lot of times it makes everything make sense. For me, just hearing about the symptoms of ADHD in adult women made me feel like, oh my God, this is everything that I am experiencing. And it's all making sense, finally. I never understood why my brain was the way it was and why I wasn't able to relax and why I'm constantly thinking of 100 things at once, why I've already finished my friend's sentence before she's even gotten halfway through it. I already know the end of the story when she started telling it. Like, I interrupt, I am impulsive. All these different things are associated with ADHD, and it just all started to make sense. And I started learning about ADHD probably about a month before I quit alcohol, because I realized that I was drinking to cover my ADHD symptoms. And from that moment on, it all made sense. I remember my boyfriend was over and he was, working in the office, and I was sitting in bed scrolling on my phone. And I asked him to come into the bedroom, and I was just crying my eyes out. And I said to him, hey, this is a really weird thing to just randomly bring up, but I'm starting to realize that I think I have ADHD. And, he was like, yeah, not to be rude, but I could see that. He's like, I believe you. I've thought maybe something like that was going on, but it makes you you. He was so sweet about it. My ex-boyfriend was a very sweet guy in a lot of ways. But yeah, it kind of just made sense. If you know me, you know that I'm a bit all over the place and I have some quirks in a lot of different ways. And I always say that ADHD can be my superpower. ADHD brings out a lot of my awesome qualities, but it also brings out a lot of my terrible qualities. And I think the terrible qualities are what I kind of drank to cover up. Actually, you know what? I doled my sparkle. I doled my positive qualities with alcohol as well. But anyways, back to the story. So yeah, I'm crying in bed, telling my boyfriend that I think I have ADHD, and just showing him all these videos, showing him all these stats, reading him articles. The poor guy, I was just like shoving this all down his throat. Like, this is crazy that I'm resonating so much with all of this information. And it's so funny because about a month or two after that, I'm crying to him again, saying that I think I have a problem with alcohol and I'm going to get sober. And yeah, so realizing that I drank to cover all those symptoms was so eye-opening, because it kind of made me realize that I could find other strategies to cope with those symptoms other than alcohol. And it also just showed me that I've been drinking to cover those symptoms. That's why I drink so much. That's why I love drinking alone at home. That's why I love drinking during a movie. That's why I like drinking during work. Yes, I drink during work sometimes.